Hi there guys, thanks for tuning in to another one of our videos here at Science Sidekicks. And today we are going to be building here in Tinkercad another circuit for the Arduino. So I do have videos where we're doing live sessions with our Arduino with the physical device, but I find that Tinkercad is a great way for you to learn and practice circuits before you actually go and build the physical one. It's also free. So if you don't have access to an Arduino and all of the other sensors and accessories, this is a way that you can still learn electronics, learn how to program an Arduino without it costing you anything. So do like and subscribe if you find this video useful, and let's jump in with what we're going to be doing today. So today we are going to be building a Arduino circuit with an LCD display that will read and output temperature. Okay, so here in Tinkercad we've already started up a project and we're going to insert the already pre-configured Arduino with breadboard and power. Now the next thing that we're going to need to add into this will be our temperature sensor. So they already have one here and we'll drop that onto our board. And the next thing we need is the LCD display. Now the LCD display comes in two versions. We want the I2C or the I2C version. The reason being, this is a lot simpler to wire up, uses less I/O pins, it's just easier and tidier. So this is what we're going to go with. So now we've dropped all of these in, we'll wire up first of all the temperature sensor, which is quite straightforward. When we mouse over the pins, you see we have power, which is going to go to the positive rail. We have ground, which is going to go to our negative rail. And then we have V out. Now V out is the voltage out. That's our analog output. And we're going to connect that to the analog input of the Arduino, A0. Okay? And we'll give this a different colored wire. Let's say we'll make this green. Okay. Now on our LCD display, we've got ground. That's self-explanatory. We're going to connect that to the negative rail of our breadboard there. And we'll make that black. And then we have VCC, which is going to be our voltage in, and that's going to go to the positive terminal there. Now you see we've got two others, SDA and SCL. So SCL we're going to connect to our analog pin number 5 down here. So let me just move that. There we go. Okay, so SCL will be coming to pin number 5. Bring that across here. We'll make that one blue. And then SDA is going to go to pin number 4. I'll make that another color as well. Okay, so now we've wired everything up. The actual wiring for this project is pretty straightforward because the LCD display with the I2C is quite simple to connect. All we need is basically what we've done here, which is the power and the two other data lines here going to the analog pins on our Arduino. And the temperature sensor is very simple to wire up. It's 3 wires, power, ground, and signal. Okay, so most of this project is now going to be down to our coding. So we'll go ahead and open up the code and we're going to change from blocks to text. So the first thing we're going to need to do is we are going to define an integer which we will call Celsius, which is going to be our temperature value. Okay, define an integer to hold the temperature value. All right, so that's what we're going to do here. So int Celsius, that's the name of the integer. That's what we're going to refer to it as. Whenever we want to call it, we're going to ask for Celsius. And we're going to set it to 0 initially to begin with. Now, if you wanted Fahrenheit, you could create one. If you could create a more complicated project where maybe we have a button and you can change between Fahrenheit and centigrade and so on, we'll do that in later projects. Right now, we'll just keep it really simple. Now, something else that we need to do to make our display work is we need to call up a library called Adafruit. So we will go to include Adafruit liquid crystal.h. Okay, and this will just include the library for the Adafruit LCD. Okay, so that's all that's doing. So we're calling up a library, and a library is basically a bunch of kind of pre-written code that we can call upon, or commands that we can call upon. Okay, just think of it that way. Next thing that we're going to do is we need to, as well as setting up the Celsius integer, we also need to set up the LCD display. So we're going to go Adafruit liquid crystal, and we'll call it LCD1. Okay, so this will set up the LCD display. All right. And that all comes before our setup loop here, okay? Which just, so everything inside of the setup brackets will run once when the Arduino turns on. Everything inside of the loop brackets will continuously occur, okay? So all that goes before that. Now here, in our setup, we're going to need to set our pin mode of the A0 to input. So A0 is the analog input that we are connecting our temperature sensor signal to, okay? So we've set A0 to be an input. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set up our serial .begin, and we'll say a baud rate of 9600. So this is so we can print out to our serial display. So this is set serial baud rate, and here we are set A0 analog pin to input mode. Okay, now we'll delete this default text here that's in the loop, and what we are going to do first of all is we need to do the most complicated part, which is probably setting up to read the Celsius and define what that integer is. So we'll say Celsius, which we defined up here, okay, our integer. So we're going to say Celsius is equal to, and we're going to map to this value the analog read of A0 minus 20 multiplied by 3.04 0 1023 minus 40 125. Now, what this is doing is it's doing some arithmetic. So what is coming out of our temperature sensor is a analog voltage. We're getting a voltage signal coming out of there. So we're going to read that voltage signal, okay, which is A0. We're going to read that voltage. We're going to subtract 20, multiply it by 3.04. So this arithmetic here is converting our analog value into an actual temperature value. So you would figure this out by looking at the data sheet of the particular sensor that you're using. It's going to tell you what the scale is and how to convert that voltage scale into something meaningful, in this case, temperature. Okay, so that's what that code does there. Now, before we do anything with the LCD display, we're going to print to the serial Celsius. And then we're going to serial print on a new line C. And then we're going to set a delay of 1000 milliseconds. Okay, so let's just comment this. Print to the LCD. And here we're going to print Celsius to the LCD. And here we are calculating Celsius value. Okay, so now if we run this code, let's see if we've done it without any bugs. Okay, yep, sorry, that should be uppercase. Let's try that again. No, sorry, not uppercase. I missed the dot. There we go. Should now all be good. Okay, so if we open our serial monitor, you'll see it's printing out our temperature. At the moment it's 25. If we slide this up. Okay, so our temperature sensor is working. We're reading the values and we're printing it here to the serial. So that's all good. We know that's all working. So excellent. Now we'll move on to making our LCD display work. So I want to print a welcome message first of all, before anything else. When the kind of system is booting up, I would like to display something on the screen here. So we're going to go back to our setup here. Now we're going to say LCD1, that's what we called it up here, LCD1. Okay, so LCD1, and we're going to say begin. (16:2). So what we're doing here is we are defining the LCD display size. Okay, so it's 16 segments and it's 2 lines, so 16:2 LCD that we've got here. Next, LCD1 clear. So what this will do is it will clear the screen, make sure that nothing is being displayed. Next, LCD1, and we're going to set the backlight to 1. Okay, so what we're doing here is we are turning on the backlight. Set backlight to 0, we'll turn it off. Set backlight to 1, we'll turn it on. LCD1, set cursor to 0, 0. So that's telling the program that we want to start writing text on the LCD display at row 0, character 0. So we're starting at the beginning, at the upper left of the screen, okay? Next, we are going to print our welcome message. So LCD1 print, and we're going to say welcome. Whoops, put in quotations. Welcome to the. Now we're going to set the cursor to the next line. Set cursor to 0, 1. So second line on the left. LCD1 print temp sensor. Okay, then we'll add a delay of 2000 milliseconds, so 2 seconds, and then we'll do LCD1 clear. So what this will do is when the system starts up, we're going to print to the screen, welcome to the temperature sensor. Let's see if this works. And after 2 seconds, it should clear the screen. There we go. Okay, so we have connected and printed a message to the display. Now, it's going to be pretty straightforward for us to get the LCD to show the temperature values. So we already have our temperature values stored and we're already printing it to the serial. So it's going to be a very similar code to what we had earlier. Okay, so it's going to be LCD1 print, but we're going to print Celsius, the integer value Celsius. So just like we have serial print Celsius, this time it's going to be LCD1 and we're going to print Celsius to there. Okay, and then we'll say LCD1 print C. And then we're going to delay 1 second before we loop and do this again. Okay, now there is something else that we need to set before this, which is the location that we want to start writing every time. So we need to put that in also here. So it's copy and pasted across. That's LCD set cursor to 0, 0. Okay, so if we follow the logic here, we are setting the LCD start point, print Celsius value to LCD, print C to the LCD. Okay, quite self-explanatory. And then here we're going to wait 1 second. Okay, so now let's run this and see how we go. So we've got welcome to the temp sensor. We're showing 25 degrees. And as we change the value here, you see the LCD value changes also. So there we have it, a very simple program, a simple way to connect up a LCD display. So we use the I2C LCD display, a analog digital temperature sensor where we're outputting an analog signal here, and then we are converting it to something that we can actually use, which is a temperature value, and displaying it. So this is the first time in the tutorial so far that we've used our analog pins rather than the digital pins. So we're using the analog pins because this is an analog value that we're getting out of here, a voltage reading. Okay, so I hope you found this useful. I will be building this with my daughter in one of our live videos where we're working with the actual physical stuff and uploading this code to there so we can see it all working in real life. All right, but for now, if you want to build this, if you do have your own kit, go ahead and try it. If you don't, go over to tinkercad.com and you can build it here, save it, edit it, and follow along. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We will be building on this project by adding in more features to this in the coming videos. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.